Zlatan did not retire from football. Football retired from Zlatan. All right. Should we tell him how we were complete dumbasses today?
Yeah, okay, well, we waited this long, obviously. Welcome back to the BTR podcast.
We're getting closer and closer to 100 subscribers. So if you haven't, please subscribe.
As I said last time, we are officially on audio platforms, so link in the description below if you guys want to listen to it instead of watching it.
Also, a link to our socials will be down below, so please follow that as well.
Before we continue, for the guys that are watching the video, you noticed that we finally added some decoration. We want to give a shout out to Planet Press for giving us this poster over the logo. Any printing needs, check the link in the description. Planet Press will help you out.
All right, without further ado, we got NBA Finals to cover.
All right, so let's just start with game one. Obviously, game two was today at the time of recording. So the series in general, 1-1. Heat tied it up in game two, but game one, it looked like Denver definitely put a scare that the Heat were essentially not going to be a no show for them. Like there was no competition for them. Clearly, wasn't the case. Jokic off the bat,
Absolute killer.
27 point triple double, only on like 12 shots. So that was key number one.
Yeah, Nuggets were just too good offensively in that game. It felt like the game was over in three quarters, but like you said previously, they tend to take the foot off the gas, and we'll get to that a little bit later. But yeah, the Nuggets in game one, like everyone was firing. Probably points wise, but efficiency wise, probably a little bit off. But Jamal Murray was there, Nikola Jokic was there, and then your third guy who was Aaron Gordon at the
Yeah,
beginning of the game.
surprise name.
Yeah, you had three guys that showed up really that shot well and produced points, and that was enough for you guys to win the game.
Yeah, well, not me, but
Well, not you, yeah, obviously not you.
yeah, no, for me the start was like Jamal Murray because like, he's the one that carried the load offensively
Even Aaron Gordon, he had a good start
in
as
terms
well.
of like points getting, for sure. Because like Joker had like 27 points, which was the leading scorer, and it didn't feel like it. Like we'll get into game two because that one felt like it, but not
Yeah,
not game one because it felt like he was probably dropped like a barely 20 point triple double because of the 12 shots, so he was efficient with it. But the key was his playmaking. The Heat couldn't figure that out, right? Like he was able to get Aaron Gordon like those weird passes under the rim where you think he's gonna shoot like a floater. Instead, he passes it or he finds like someone wide open on the three. Even though Porter Jr. and KCP didn't shoot well, they still were like a threat. And of course, the rebounds come in play because of his size. But yeah, it's just like the playmaking, his driving ability is kind of there more so in game two than game one. But like you said, everybody else did well as well. Defensively, they didn't get Jimmy Butler going. Bam Adebayo had 26 points, but it was on 25 shots. They weren't in foul trouble really because the Heat only shot two free throws that whole game. So yeah, I mean, after game one, it seemed like the Nuggets were definitely like, okay, yep, it's over for the Heat. But obviously, we'll get into game two
yeah.
slightly.
Game one, Jokic dropped 27, Murray dropped 26 and 10 assists. Just it was a complete game offensively for them. It was just effort wise where they lacked a little bit in the fourth quarter, where Miami started going on a run to make a comeback. Uh, Lowry and Highsmith were pretty good in game one, as long with Gabe Vincent. Vincent had 19 on 50% shooting. Lowry and Haywood Highsmith, surprise name.
The two last
It
names.
sounds like two last names, yeah. Uh, combined for 29, which is pretty good for your two bench players. And everyone else, Caleb Martin fell off. Max Truss was like 0 for 10 from the field.
Yeah, Caleb Martin hit 1 3.
And
Struce
then
hit none in the field in general. And Duncan Robinson only hit one shot as
and then
well.
obviously the biggest one, name all, Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, he was more efficient this game in game one, sorry, than game two, but obviously he had more points in game two. I know for me the key is I always talk this with you even before we started the podcast about is Jimmy Butler a superstar or not, and to me he is not in that tier. He's in that like second tier of like AD and all these guys. Um, because of like like yeah, he turns it up in the playoffs. Don't get me wrong. Like we said it on the podcast before that, it's him and Kawhi that usually we see level up in the playoffs. But it's mostly the fourth quarter, right? And we'll get into game two where he did. But I need for me, it's like the battle of Jimmy and Jokic, and Jokic has lived up to his end both of these games. For me, Jimmy hasn't, even like game one and two. I feel like yeah, they did win game two, which again we'll get to soon, but it just doesn't feel like that Jimmy Butler from the Milwaukee series essentially.
Yeah, I mean, fatigue could always be a factor. Um, the long 7 game series against the Celtics doesn't help, obviously, because
He hurt his own ankle as well,
yeah,
slightly.
and then he injured himself in game one of the Knicks series. So yeah, he's taking a step back for sure. But the thing with Jimmy is that he shows up in the fourth quarter, which is like if you're not gonna show up in the game, like if you're having struggling in the game, like how he did in game 6 against the Celtics, he still showed up in those key moments, which you
But
kind of
the
need.
scary thing with that is like for example, game six Celtics. If we were to just shoot a little bit better in the first three quarters, they would have not needed a game seven.
Yeah, that's true, but you want your star players to show up in the moments, and he shows up in the moments. Yes, it probably comes at a cost of 3 quarters of poor play, but sometimes,
But that also takes a lot of your energy. Like your
yeah, but sometimes those key moments are what win you the game.
Yeah, I guess we can move on to game two here because like
Yeah,
no, there's nothing much. I mean, there's no point going over a lot of game one. Because game two they changed it up, right? Game one, Caleb Martin started. They changed it up with Kevin Love, and I was listening to the broadcast, and I agree with it that they were like, okay, it gives them more size because Michael Porter Jr., who's more of a spot up guy. Yeah, he could create his own shot a little bit, but when Joker has the ball, he's gonna be more of the spot up guy. So Kevin Love could just guard him with size, and so obviously that helped. They started off hot, right? Like a 10-2 run, easy first time out. I think it was like a 10, 11 point lead at some point. But then yeah, like they let their foot off the gas. But the key thing was Max Drew started the game hot. He may not have finished as strong, but he started off hot. Gabe Vincent was still cooking from game one, but Caleb Martin, obviously he was off the bench but struggled a bit.
yeah. Caleb Martin struggled. Bam followed up on another good
Yeah,
performance. He had 21. And shot pretty well.
yeah.
Yeah, he shot like 60 at least, right? I believe.
I'll double check, but Jimmy struggled though
Yeah,
again.
Jimmy had 21, but he had 37% shooting. I know that. And then Gabe Vincent with another performance of 23 points with a very good efficiency as well. The thing with the Heat is their three ball. We saw in the Celtics series when their three ball is on, they won. When it's not, they lost.
So Bam shot 57%, 8 for 14.
Yeah,
But he also got 5 free throws on that too, whereas
yeah,
he didn't in the first.
yeah. So then my point about the Heat and the three ball is that like when they win games, their 3 point percentage is better than their actual field goal percentage. Obviously, today it was a tie because it was both 48%. So it's just weird to see like how much the three ball really helps Miami Heat.
Yeah, which sucks because you could live by three, die by three. You saw the Houston Rockets from like that 2018 year where they missed 27 in a row, right? The Celtics themselves, who they played. Um, Obviously Jimmy doesn't chuck them. He picks and chooses. Like I said, he got going in the fourth quarter, but another guy we have to give a huge shout out to is Duncan Robinson, right? Struggling in game one, and he had his like Lonnie Walker moment where when Lonnie carried them against the Warriors in the fourth quarter. All his points came in the fourth quarter as well. There could be
Four,
threes. There could be he drove to the basket, and then obviously Jimmy finished it off in the fourth quarter, which led to his 21 points. But again, like I mentioned earlier, not to not my type of performance from Jimmy Butler. Still, I still want to see that Himmy
yeah, you
Butler
need more.
performance
You need more for sure.
because for me it's like it's more so Denver put their foot off the gas again and did not cope well with it, which we'll get into in a second. But with the Heat, and also the big thing was Eric Spoelstra's coaching, right? Like that was the biggest um key thing we had when we previewed the series is because like how is he gonna adjust, and he did, right? He went back to the zone, which we said that it wasn't the greatest choice against Jokic because he's proven it, but it also stops the pick and roll with Jamal Murray, who struggled a little bit early on before he started going into the fourth quarter. And obviously with that defense, it yeah, they let Jokic do whatever he wanted, but his the key stat there was he only had 4 assists.
Yeah, Duncan had 10 points, 4 or 5 shooting, all in one quarter, which is amazing. And then moving on to the Nuggets, Jokic had 41 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists. So like, he dominated the points wise, but no one else did anything after him.
I'm sure he still got his passes off. The shots weren't going down. Like KCP hit 1 3, I think. Michael Porter Jr. still struggled. Jamal Murray had 10 assists because he just gave the ball to Jokic and Jokic just cooked, right? Like that was a performance where you saw Jokic look like Jokic dropped 50, even though he dropped 41, which is still up there.
Yeah, Jokic dropped 50 plus against the Suns and he lost that game too.
Well, people don't realize we were saying it's about the Nuggets. Nuggets were up like double digits after they were down early,
Yeah.
and carried that lead into like the end of the third, going to the fourth type thing. And like I said, like none of them were hitting shots. Aaron Gordon kind of slow, wasn't like him game one. Aaron Gordon, Jamal Murray didn't finish with 20 like he did.
Yeah, he was 18.
Yeah, and then he
And
started hitting shots.
He was
like,
18 and 47. It's
he
like
had,
it's like stats. It's like a stats for a third option, but not.
Yeah.
But he's a second option, close to.
yeah, for
close to
sure.
first
Like in
option.
game one, he dropped like identical points and like 1 point off, and then he was still matched like 10 assists, even though he had 10 assists this game, I believe. But for yeah, like he has to propel. It was a little too late. It was reminding me of the game two Lakers performance where he just kept going in the fourth quarter, but the difference was he missed the key shot to tie it because they did slow them down defensively. But the problem was they weren't slowing it down quick enough. They were going bucket for bucket, which is what Denver did not need late in that quarter. And the key thing for me, I guess, is Michael Malone. How is he going to make adjustments now?
Yeah, there's obviously question marks there for sure. It's tough, but I feel like Denver, they just need to continue. Like they just need to play like what their identity has been this whole entire playoffs. Just trust themselves, their strengths. They don't really need to change too much lineup wise or any like rotation wise. They just gotta be able to play like a full 48.
Yeah, I guess. So, what do you think is going to be the game? I don't know if sorry, game 3 and 4. Now they're in Miami. Miami got the split, which is big, right? They defend home court. They're up 3-1. Obviously, I predicted it will be a split down there as well. But how do you think that home stand will go for Miami?
It's tough. I think it'll be a split again. I think Denver will steal one. Don't know which one, but I think here's my thing: is if we see like a game one Denver, right, for the rest of the series, I don't see the Heat winning.
Well, here's the thing. Denver also let the foot off the gas in game 1.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
But
it was a little. It was they held it long
But that
enough.
was like they were in control, right? Yes, they took their foot off the gas. I agree with that, but they still finished off with a double-digit
And
victory.
they were also undefeated at home until
Yeah,
today.
they also finished off a double-digit victory. Obviously he got a big one because Denver being undefeated at home.
Yeah.
The thing is this, like the Heat, they're like when Denver's on, right? Denver's on fire. You witnessed it. They're on fire. Like it's hard to stop, right? The question is like, can Heat match Denver's offensive punches?
So I guess that's the key thing we had going here. First of all, I need a Jimmy performance. We already covered that, so I'm not gonna get into that too much. But Tyler Hero is rumored to come back in game 3, right? And do you think he should be back if he's healthy? Like, depend if he's forcing himself to come out, because I believe he shouldn't. Well, at least for game 3, he shouldn't personally, and it's only because they got here without him anyways. And I'm not saying that that Tyler Hero would not be a help. Don't get me wrong. I'm not. That's what I'm not saying. But I feel like it's a hand injury, so he's also detrimenting himself even further for recovery.
Yeah. If the doctors clear him, he's playing, and he's not gonna be like on the bench dressed playing 0 minutes. He's gonna be playing. I would play him at least 10, 15. I won't start him for sure, but off the bench 10, 15, just to ease him back in, I would do that 100%.
It's tough for me because like yeah, I do agree if he's healthy, play, right. I'm not saying that. I don't think he's gonna be healthy as much as like we thought Kevin Durant was healthy, and yes, I understand that's an Achilles thing that was going on with the calf, and yeah, he's Kevin Durant as well. But with this one, I was like, yes, he's a shooter, he's a scorer. How much of an impact of the hand it's gonna be, right? You don't want to come out, give it, and then get injured. and ruin it even further going into next season, right? And yes, I know you're in the finals. Don't worry about next season right now. But the key is like you've been doing fine without him. Like I would agree if they were down 2-0 and they couldn't find another scorer.
What if he's cleared, fully cleared by the doctors?
Then yeah, that's fine. Then you have no choice. But I don't believe that's the case.
Yeah, no, but what would you do if he is fully cleared? What would you play him?
Then I'll play him off the bench, ease him into the first time he plays. But even then, like
What would be your minutes?
it will be based on how the game's going, right? Like if none of these guys, like if Caleb Martin's still struggling, then yeah, you might have to give him the minutes to come in. But again, it's a hand injury. He's been out for a while. He's also been streaky at times.
I'm not saying he's gonna come and like tear shit up.
Yeah,
I don't expect that at all.
I'll probably give him like 10 minutes, and it depends on how he starts off with those 10 minutes, right? If he's coming off firing, then those 10 minutes are gonna turn into 20. But if he's struggling, it's those 10 minutes are gonna stay 10.
Yeah, something if he's cleared to play, like
Even if he's
the
clear
thing
to
is like
play,
I don't want to hear from him. I want to hear doctors, right? Like obviously if you're a player in the finals,
I mean, the doctors
you're
might
gonna
be
play.
coerced to say that.
Yeah,
for all
no,
we
like,
know.
yeah, but I would trust the doctors more a little bit, just cause they're doctors. I mean, yeah, there's some idiot doctors for sure,
Yeah.
but most of the times they have it right.
Yeah, it's a tough one because they said the earliest he could probably consider that's the key word, consider going as game 3. That's why I'm hard to believe
Yeah, it's
he'll be ready for game 3 in general. I would say even if he's like, if the doctors clear him, you still be like, okay, game 3, okay, we'll see. If then game 4 could be like that emergency thing where they come back in, because I don't think you got here without him anyways, and I'm not saying that with him you'll get better. Obviously, you'll be better team with him, but that also ruins the chemistry around what you have started.
there's no
Going through.
chemistry issues. No,
No, I mean like
chemistry.
what's happening with the thing, but
Yeah, it may ruin the rhythm, but it's not chemistry.
yeah,
You
the
can't say
rhythm is
chemistry,
the
yeah.
rhythm is what I'm about to say. Yeah, but I know it's tough for me. Like I would say play game 3 without him because I
It
genuinely feel
probably
he's
is gonna
not
be
ready.
game 3 without him.
Yeah, like I genuinely feel he's probably not ready. I think they're rushing him back
Yeah.
because they said that there was a possibility that he could have been out for the whole finals. Now they're saying that he'll be back all of a sudden. Yeah, it could be a super recovery for sure. But I find it hard to believe, and I don't think it's no point risking it further. I get it; it's the finals. Yes, they got back in 4 years, and they have another opportunity after losing in 2020. But they're yeah, I think like what's working is working still, so we'll see. You're home now. If they're struggling scoring, then yeah, you might have to push it and see what he could do when he comes back. But then even then, it's like it's a hand injury. You don't know what his scoring is gonna be like.
Yeah, it's tough
So
for
I
sure.
guess we already made our prediction. We'll just move on to
Yeah,
the
both,
next bit.
both are saying split, right?
Yeah, I'm saying split. I think Denver gets the first, Miami gets the second.
I would agree. I'll take Denver against game 3.
Yeah, I guess moving on. It seems like every episode we do, a coach gets hired. So, which means next pod we probably will get another coach hiring because right now the Frank Vogel era for the Suns will begin. So the Frank Vogel has officially been hired by the Suns, and it's a long-term contract. I believe it's 5 years. And I guess your first thoughts?
So I mean, it's a good hire. Playoff success is okay. I mean, he did win a title. But with like he struggled with the Magic, Pacers. Yes, he had the Heat team, but he had his team still.
But okay, here's the thing: the Magic, he's a defensive coach. He was put in a spot where they were like in a rebuild situation and didn't fit his system. The players didn't fit his system. Like Vucevic wasn't this defensive anchor like AD was, right? But then when you go to the Pacers, it was a young Paul George up and coming. That fit that build. You got Roy Hibbert. You had George Hill. You had Lance Stephenson, right? So he had pieces there. And again, they were playing the Miami Heat team that were like LeBron's prime, but probably the best version of LeBron. And no team beat him even like throughout the playoffs, and he still took him to like 6 and 7 games both of those years, right? And then when you put him, here's the thing: he's on the Suns team that I feel like I need to see what they do in the offseason because he's that coach like the 2020. Because people forget that the Lakers were still the #1 seed going into that bubble before the season was put on hold.
But he is more of a regular season coach.
I
He
mean,
is.
clearly, I don't think so because he had like the reason why he didn't win in the playoffs was because the Heat team, and then in the
Okay, so
Lakers with the Lakers he's a scapegoat because the roster turnover, and you're the one who brought it up a few times as well. The
yeah, roster
turnover was insane year after year. So I don't blame him. Yes, I do question his lineup rotations at times, but that's only because the roster turnover changed from his first year.
Okay. Don't. First of all, you can't blame the Heat team for him not being successful in the playoffs.
I mean, there are other teams couldn't get by the Heat either, like the Brooklyn Nets back then, the Chicago Bulls couldn't get by him with the Derrick Rose teams.
Dallas Mavericks did.
Okay, one, and then Spurs 1 year.
Spurs 1 year. Okay, so
But I'm talking about
no,
the
no,
conference.
no.
I'm talking about the conference.
Say Doc Rivers, for example,
Yeah.
couldn't get past the second round. He gets fired. That's on Doc Rivers.
Yeah.
So why? No, I know.
But here's my thing. Fine, that Lakers team.
Celtics team was
when
better.
that Lakers team came in there,
The Celtics team.
that Lakers team.
No, but like
you brought in Danny Green, one of the best 3-and-Ds.
no. I'm not talking about Pacers Heat. You can't just say okay.
He also had a young team then, and he fit his mold.
Number 1 seed.
Yeah, so we've seen LeBron sweep you guys as when you guys were the number 1 seed.
Exactly. So that's on Dwayne Casey.
But okay, so
That's on
that's
our
way in the
team.
past. But then when you look at his most recent success, when
Yeah.
he won the championship, he was put into a situation where you add a guy like Danny Green, 3-and-D. You add Avery Bradley, who was one of the best perimeter defenders in the league at the time. You have LeBron, who's not a slouch defensively, especially at that time. Anthony Davis was a defensive player of the year candidate.
Okay,
you add Dwight Howard and you add JaVale McGee.
Yeah, they fit his team. Okay, he won, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm saying like what you said is that the reason why he wasn't successful in Indiana in the playoffs was because of Miami Heat.
That was one of the key reasons. You can't tell me that wasn't a reason.
Yeah, no, but like it sounds like you're blaming the Heat for his.
It's both ways, but then again, no one beat.
That's
the Heat,
on him then.
But
It's
no
on
one beat
him.
the Heat in the Eastern Conference either.
Yeah. Okay. So
That's my point.
nobody beat the Cavs when they went on their little run.
Exactly. So I'm not saying it's just on coaching; it's on everybody as a team. But that young Paul George-led team, who was emerging, and they were pieces away. Paul George himself said that like Indiana was happy where they were. Frank Vogel is one of the reasons why they were elite at that stage of their career. He goes to the Magic. No one on that team really fit his bill.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's
Okay,
about
and then he
Magic.
comes
Get rid of the Magic.
Then when he gets hired by the Lakers, he wins a championship in his first year. The Lakers were one of the best defensive rated teams.
But how would this fit with the Suns? What do the Suns
So
do?
that's where we had to go transition to, because I don't think this current Suns team with Frank Vogel, sure, they're not going to be a championship team, but you have the two greatest scorers in the game today, right? Devin Booker has shown he's not a slouch defensive player like he has in the past. Kevin Durant, as long as he's healthy, could handle his own. I mean, he's 7 feet. He could do well defensively. Now, there's rumors that like Fred VanVleet's linked there. That's a perfect piece to start off with. Can you switch DeAndre Ayton and get a guy like Miles Turner in a trade maybe? All right? That's a guy that will fit that mold. So that if he gets those type of moves, that's why I'm saying I like the hire because he's a defensive-minded coach and they need defensive-minded more defense on their team, especially losing a guy like Mikal Bridges. You bring him pieces that fit the defensive mold. You have the two greatest scorers in the game, right? Arguably top 5 duo in the league. That team could win the championship as long as they make the right moves.
So
I feel like he's the right coach. I mean, definitely better than Doc Rivers.
oh yeah, anyone over Doc for sure right now, especially at this moment. I'm not like saying that. I'm not saying he's gonna do bad. I still think it's a good hire, but I'm saying that the track record isn't like it's decent, but the Suns are like just steps away, for sure.
Yeah, so he's
and like
that was with the Lakers.
like major steps away,
People
in my
thought
opinion.
the Lakers hire, they were supposed to get Ty Lue at the time. Stuff happened behind the scenes. Vogel was just like a filler to get fired, which eventually he did. But he still delivered a championship, and the big reason was because of his coaching. If you have an offensive guy like he had with Jason Kidd on his staff, Phil Handy, Lyle Hollins, and all these guys, they re-signed Kevin Young, which we'll get into when we get to the assistant coaching hires. If they have another offensive guy they could add, that Suns team it's gonna probably win a championship next year, as long as you build, as long as James Jones does his job on the GM side and Ishbia, whatever he gets involved in. That's my point. The ceiling with Frank Vogel is still championship, not with Doc Rivers. But Frank Vogel, who has shown it recently, if he has a good defensive pieces, he could come in and put them over the top,
Yeah,
which he did recently.
they need steps for sure, and some like
That we could
couple
address
major
this.
steps.
We could address this when we do our next season predictions and stuff like that.
It's tough.
But
It's very tough.
But that being said, he was also linked to the Raptors job slightly. That's the only team left, which means next episode we might just get their coach the way our thing is going. But right now you've been linked to like three different assistant coaches.
We lost like what? Like I don't know these people anymore. That's how far we went. Like I don't know these assistant coaches.
Here's my question for you.
I was like, yo, Monty Williams or bust.
King's assistant coach.
King's assistant, yeah.
I forgot. I should search his name.
You don't even know his name, right?
Yeah, no.
Exactly, we don't know his name.
Sergio Sacoriolo, you know him.
Yeah, Spain. I don't think he's gonna do great. I don't think he's cut out for it, in my opinion. And then what other?
I think it was Grizzlies, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah.
The thing is this, bro. Like I would just so tone in on Monty Williams, right? Now, like the Pistons got him. But at this rate, is like whatever coach you get, you're gonna have to rebuild.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't even want the Pistons. I think the money convinced him to get the Pistons. But yeah.
Obviously.
But let me just search the name quickly. But so you're just saying rebuild?
At this rate, you gotta rebuild. If you're getting an assistant coach as a new head coach now, you gotta rebuild. The thing is,
Jordi Fernandez is the name.
Yeah,
and I heard he was like in talks with other.
Yeah, like they could be there. Like, but I'm saying the situation calls. Like, if you had Monty, obviously you could have, fought for something next year. But now you're getting assistant coach. You gotta like really.
Yeah, I agree with you. They should rebuild because you don't know what's happening with Fred and Gary Trent.
Yeah, let the coach develop the players.
Yeah. I guess we'll see what happens next time when the announcement gets official for whoever the Raptors hire. But Frank Vogel, congratulations. Except against the Lakers, I hope you have success because I know he's capable of doing it as long as they have a proper team around him. But moving on, there's an update on the John Moran situation. So Adam Silver does his like annually before the finals presser. Like we'll get into the NHL because Gary Bettman did the same thing as well. And the main thing that came out of that was obviously we talked about the John Moran situation on our very first pod. If you guys haven't checked it, check that out. And he just essentially said that the decision's gonna be made after the finals. Obviously,
makes sense. Yeah,
and it's hinting that it's not gonna be a small suspension. It's gonna be a hefty suspension.
At least half the season.
Yeah, that's people around the league are projecting to be like 41 games. Definitely, I think 20 minimum, and it could be also to the full year. Yeah, people are saying that it's not. Again, we don't know what the political side of things are in the States, but obviously it just seems like he flashed a gun out. But it's obviously not the image the NBA wants to have. Clearly.
Yeah, and not the Memphis Grizzlies want to have.
Yeah, so. We'll see. We'll update you guys when that happens a bit more.
Yeah, I just we don't know. We don't know if you did anything illegal, right? So the thing is, this is just pure NBA. Like, there's no outside investigation or anything outside punishment, right? It's just NBA punishment. So this is just a image thing. This is nothing to do with a legal activity.
Yeah. I guess we'll see what the update is.
You just gotta be smart. Don't flash a gun on an IG live video.
Yeah,
it's as simple as that.
We'll see. But we'll see after the finals what happens with that. We'll keep you guys updated as well. But let's move on to some quickfire topics here. Sticking with the basketball, and we'll move on to some soccer. Off the bat, Sam Cassell has switched his assistant coaching position. He's no longer the 76ers. Makes sense because Nick Nurse came in. And he is joining one of his teams that he played on in the Boston Celtics. I believe he won a championship with them. So Joe Mazzulla gets another, veteran type coach who had talks to become a head coach even for the Sixers. We'll go next up. Terry Stotts, former Blazers coach, also former Bucks coach apparently, is joining your boy Adrian Griffin. The Bucks assistant.
It's good for him. First year head coach, getting some experience behind him. Terry Stotts had some good years with the Portland Trail Blazers. Went to the Western Conference Finals that one year.
Yeah.
But
his ceiling is just
playoffs. The ceiling was playoffs, right? It was never championship.
So, I guess he's trying to get his Mike Brown arc going. I guess try to show that I'm still a coach.
guy,
He
yeah.
was linked to the Lakers position last year before we hired Darvinham as well. But yeah, I think he's definitely the coach has to evolve a little bit. I don't know how much had to do with Portland's roster outside of Dame and CJ, like the rest of the construction. So we'll see. Obviously, good thing for Adrian
I mean,
Griffin
a
to
lot
get.
has to do with Portland's roster.
It's a good thing for Adrian Griffin as well because like you've seen it before with Steve Nash. Obviously, didn't turn out the best, but he had Mike D'Antoni there. Vogel obviously was a head coach, but he had Jason Kidd come in and help with the offensive side of things. So you'll have that veteran experience with the refs and all that stuff. Even though Adrian Griffin had like a couple of games as a head coach, filling in for Nick Nurse a few times. I guess the next one is James Borrego, former Charlotte head coach, is joining the Pelicans assistant position. Willie Green, obviously, I believe he did a good job, not a great job, because I mean he did a great job. It doesn't matter because you can't do much if your best player and Zion Williamson, who's never healthy,
Two
is
best
not
players were
healthy,
injured at the same
and then
time.
Brandon Ingram got injured, and then at the time of Zion's injury, they were like first place, right? And then when they came back, they made a run to get to the play-in, and obviously ultimately losing out. But yeah, it's a good another guy who's probably in that Mike Brown territory, Terry Stotts territory now. And the last thing is, as I alluded to earlier, for the basketball side of things, Kevin Young, he was the finalist for the Suns job, and he's staying with the Suns because money does talk.
As an
He
assistant.
has the highest paid assistant coach. He definitely was touted to go to other spots as an assistant
And
because usually you don't bring.
he will continue to be too.
Yeah, so he'll continue to be. It could be a mid-season thing like Chris Finch was for the Timberwolves a couple of years ago. It could be the next off-season, but I guess they didn't want him to go to a different position like Sam Cassell, so they wanted to make sure he stayed. I don't know much about him, but it is what it is. Um,
You got FIBA
yeah,
happening in the
so
summer.
FIBA, it's happening in the summer. I think it's from like the end of August to the beginning of September, and obviously we'll talk about it more then. It's gonna be a good summer for
If
sports
the players play.
because Canada, the Gold Cup. If you follow soccer, obviously Canada soccer being good now, you can follow that. The FIFA Women's World Cup is on. Canada's one of the favorites there, and then right after that is the FIBA World Cup, which kind of sucks, especially with the USA. Um, Usually the top players don't end up going because the training camp is literally a couple of weeks later. It's better to do the Olympics for that reason. So I'm hoping Team Canada puts out a proper roster. But here's like Shams tweeted this out
For the USA?
for the U.S. team because obviously he's American. So um, Pacers all-star Tyrese Halliburton,
Yeah, makes sense.
Nets rising star Mikal Bridges
Yeah.
have committed to Team USA roster. So I don't know if that means like the camp or the roster itself to get selected from. Anthony Edwards, Austin Reeves, and Bobby Portis. And that last two kind of throw me off, especially with Bobby
They're
Portis.
bench players.
Yeah, so I
Or
don't know
role
if this means
players at
that they're
best.
still deciding on which superstar player wants to come play, right? I don't know if Steph Curry will come play or James Harden, even though he's not at that James Harden level. Dame Lillard, for example, Kevin Durant, right? So it's. I hope the stars come out, but I guess for the sake of parity, maybe not, because
Yeah.
I'll definitely take our Canada roster over that.
Yeah, I
if
feel
it's
like-
this current U.S. roster.
Yeah, if you ever count like Jamal and Shea in the backcourt,
Yeah, Lou
got
Dort,
Wiggins, Lou Dort, RJ Barrett as your wings.
yeah, Kelly Olynyk and all these guys, Dwight Powell.
Yeah, those big mans are a little bit weakness,
Yeah.
obviously. But no, this thing is like it's kind of like the World Baseball Classic because that was happening legit during the MLB spring training, MLB preseason, and there were many players that got injured. Like I believe the New York Mets closer was like out for the whole year. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's that risk. I that's why I hope it happens earlier because obviously it's easier to make the World Cup than Olympics because there's limited spots. Because like obviously as Canadians we hope Canada basketball rises because Shea has shown potentials of a superstardom and we've seen what Jamal Murray could do when he's going right. But we'll talk about it more in the year that time comes when the rosters. We'll make our predictions for the Canada roster at least. Now let's move on to some footy. A lot of
Yeah.
the domestic leagues have closed at least this weekend. Some of them ended last weekend. But now it's like the time of transfer window. And, you recently joined Twitter. I know you haven't looked into it much, but you'll see a lot of the rumors.
A lot of rumors. Yeah.
Yeah, but we'll just talk about, obviously if we talk about the rumors, it's going to take up this whole episode. So we'll just talk about what's kind of either officially confirmed or confirmed by Fabrizio Romano, who is obviously like the Woj of the footy world. First off, even though this was kind of announced for a while, Jude Bellingham has made his decision. He's not coming to England. He is going to Spain and joining Real Madrid, learning from the likes of
Cruz and Modric.
yeah. So
You got the past and you got the future there on that team.
yeah. So
Well, the present too, because Modric and Cruz are still playing.
I feel like Modric was linked to Saudi, but I think the reports he denied him. So
I mean, what you got? Modric and Cruz, obviously, as your old
Valverde.
guys, and then Valverde is probably like it's been there for a while, and then you got like more of your younger guys like Tchouaméni, Camavinga, and now Bellingham, probably one of the best young players in the league.
yeah,
I mean, in
I
the,
mean
in
they
the
got to
world.
switch Kamavinga from left back to center mid because they got
Yeah,
destroyed against City. But yeah, that's one of the moves. We'll see when it's officially official. I think it's supposed to be announced next week. Speaking of Real Madrid, Marco Asensio has left on a free agency and he's joining PSG. He was rumored to join Villa as well, I believe, but he signed a contract with PSG. Well, obviously fits better because, and also I guess we'll move on from to another Real Madrid news. Karim Benzema today has officially announced he's leaving,
and
and that's confirmed by the club as well.
that marks the end of an era.
Yeah, BBC era's over, and the MSN that rivalry.
The 2010s best La Liga moments.
Yeah,
The rivalry between Barca and Real, Messi, Ronaldo. Obviously, Messi, Ronaldo not there.
yeah,
Benzema, Bale's retired.
yeah,
Neymar got sold to PSG, first one to leave.
and then
And
Suarez.
Suarez is old now and he's in South America.
Yeah,
And now Benzema's the last piece gone.
yeah. But speaking of that MSN, the M part of that, Messi, who left originally Barcelona, went to PSG, has officially been announced that he's leaving PSG, along with Sergio Ramos as well, who joined, I think, the same year. And rumors are for Messi, at least, he'll be joining Saudis, joining a Saudi, joining the Saudi league, rivaling Ronaldo's team. So reliving their rivalry again. But there's also rumors that he might go to Barcelona, but like
I don't know how Barcelona
Barcelona needs to host more weddings at Camp Nou. I don't know if you know that story where they were
to
hosting
make,
weddings
to make money.
to make money, but there's that
But they're
situation.
really desperate. They're more
Yeah.
desperate than us.
Or the other situation is like, he was rumored to join Inter Miami, Beckham's club in the MLS, and they might loan him back to Barcelona for a year or two, right? So we don't know. I mean, Messi and Ronaldo pretty much have completed football. I mean, Ronaldo hasn't won the World Cup, but
Pretty much dead.
other than that, it's like they have nothing else to prove. Whether
They
or not,
don't. Like,
right? They're easily 1 and 2. In some people's eyes, Ronaldo's one, in our eyes, is Messi's
it's
one.
Messi's one.
But there's that, so we'll see what happens with that. Who knows where Ramos ends up? But I guess we also have a coaching hire. Tottenham have officially hired Celtic, or now former Celtic coach. I'm gonna butcher his name, Ange Postecoglou. Welcome to the Spurs and
Welcome. And
good luck because you're succeeding the greats before you that couldn't do shit with Tottenham itself.
because
and Mourinho,
they set you up to fail.
Antonio Conte,
They don't say it, but
and Pochettino.
they show it. They set you up to fail.
You're pretty much quoting
You have
Antonio Conte there, right?
yeah, basically. They don't have a winning mindset. They have 0 trophies in the cabinet. It's just dust and cobwebs, and it's shown for a while now. And then don't really add quality in the transfer windows, and then really hold on to dead weight.
And now the rumor to Kane's gonna leave for United, or now Madrid has an opening with striker position. Whoever else wants to leave there, we don't know. But yeah, good luck. You're probably gonna be the next to leave based on what Antonio Conte's
Yeah,
comments
maybe.
are, Jose Mourinho's comments are. And I guess moving on to the last thing before we get to the FA Cup. Former Man United, former PSG, now former AC Milan player,
Former almost
Barcelona.
the whole world.
Yeah. Zlatan Ibrahimovic has officially announced his retirement at the age of 42, which is
That's
still
impressive.
insane because he was playing for AC Milan at that age.
He went to MLS and came back to Europe.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Listen, like I'm not a big Zlatan guy myself, right? But obviously I respect what he's done. Obviously with United he killed it at that age where people thought he was getting to slow down, but his second year he was injured, but the first year he helped us get like 3 trophies and he had a great scoring year as well.
Yeah. Thing is this. Zlatan did not retire from football. Football retired from Zlatan. All right.
Yeah.
Man's 42. He's 42 and he retired. Like
And then like even his person, like we're gonna
that,
miss the personality. Like for example, today when
absolute
he announced his retirement.
amazing press conferences.
No, but even like
I know.
when he announced his
Yeah,
retirement
yeah,
today, I guess he was at the Hellas Verona field. I don't know, or
yeah,
the fans were
probably.
booing him, and he was like, I don't know. I didn't watch the video properly, but I just read the quote where he was like, essentially, "Shut the hell up! This is the greatest day for you guys. No one cares about you guys except now that I'm here." And I'm paraphrasing, and I'm announcing, and I'm talking in front of you guys right now. So
It's just
keep booing me, essentially. But yeah,
Zlatan's a goat on the mic.
yeah. I mean, obviously he couldn't win the big thing, the Champions League or the Ballon d'Or and
But
stuff.
he still won many trophies.
He won like many league titles.
And
Obviously,
then also probably the greatest Puskas winner.
yeah,
That freaking 40-yard out bicycle kick
for Team
against
Sweden.
England for Team Sweden. That's insane. Like
Yeah.
Zlatan is absolute beast.
Yeah, so obviously, we wish to still see him around there, whether he be coaching, ownership, whatever the case may be. But let's move on to the FA Cup final, which is Zlatan's former team, our squad, Manchester United, played Manchester City in the Manchester Derby for the FA Cup for the first time ever.
Bro, you got one prediction right, and you predicted against Man United.
I got the Denver prediction right this series.
I
So
don't
far.
care, man.
But
This is not about Denver. This is Man United.
yeah, no.
This
I
is
mean,
my-
well, I also got it wrong in a way.
this
'cause
is
I
my
said, I
literal.
said 3-1.
This is my literal.
I did-
You still said Man United lost.
Yeah, that's fine. But
Why
here's-
were you right once or twice?
Well, I was hoping I wasn't. I was hoping I was wrong.
Nah, bro, man. This is like my literal. When it comes to Man United, it's like I guess very emotional.
Okay, so here's the thing, right? We'll recap the game here, FA Cup, before we get to the NHL. But obviously, City scored like 13 seconds in. Obviously, off to a bad start. But after that, yeah, they had possession. Don't get me wrong.
No, City were dogging us in the first 10 minutes.
After it was just the Ilkay Gundogan show for me, though, right? Because here's the thing. If City played all out, that's the reason why I made that prediction. United had no chance as much as they wanted to play.
United getting whooped.
Right.
If
But the
United,
way City played was bad for City standards. That United had the chance of winning, but they decided not. They decided to reciprocate.
if United played
the
their
City
standards,
performance.
if United played their standards, they could have
Won this game,
easily won this game for sure.
right? Like we saw, yes, there were injuries, and I get it. Anthony Martial was injured. Anthony was injured. So
Super sub Wout Weghorst.
Well, Garnacho was the first
Oh, no,
one.
Garnacho's a goat, man. He's absolutely killing it.
But the thing was, like, when you look at the not January, whenever they played the second leg at Old Trafford when they won 2-1, Luke Shaw was starting center back then, right? And like City still played okay. Like it was like they played crap, but it was still like not to the City standards. But United played way better than them.
Yeah,
Like,
United.
and yeah, they
United
were
were the
down-
better team that day.
Yeah, so that's
then-
what that's what I was expecting
And
based on how City played.
and then it was the same City that showed up in the FA Cup final, but it wasn't the same United. And then obviously City deserved to win. City could easily won this game like
Okay.
5-6-0. The thing with Man United is they had their moments in attacking third, like they kept the ball well, couldn't really create chances. Only one shot on target. Couldn't really find a killer pass until Garnacho came on and really
One
livened
shot.
up the
But
attack.
it was still then. It was like one
But-
shot on target.
Yeah, it wasn't great from our attack. Rashford was off. Bruno was off. Jadon Sancho, I don't know what the hell to say about Jadon Sancho.
I'm giving him one more chance, but we'll get into the transfer window later because we already talked about Man United last week. But yeah, I guess I have a question for you here. I've seen this on Twitter a lot. We have an Arsenal fan in our family, our cousin. Who had the more successful season? Is it Arsenal, who bottled the league and were out early in the trophies, but still finished second place? They were in the title race. Or is it Manchester United, who were up and down in the league, but FA Cup finalists, won the Carabao Cup, and ultimately lost in the quarters to Sevilla?
It's tough. It was very tough. For me, it was like if United did win one more trophy, like if they win the FA Cup final, I would say it's 100% United.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean,
Yeah,
I would have
right?
asked you that last week, but
The thing is, like, I value league, right? And United only have one trophy.
By the way, before I'm gonna cut you off, people that consider Carabao Cup not a true trophy or whatever, it still counts as a major trophy. And you can't say, oh yeah, they played easy
Yeah.
competition or Newcastle. Your asses didn't get there, essentially.
Exactly, right? Now, like, if you call it a shitty trophy, why didn't your shitty team win?
Yeah, so
As simple as that.
that's where it gets for me tough.
Yeah, no,
Where-
like, I mean, this is legit trophy. People, like, go all for it. City won the goddamn thing like 3 years in a row.
And then
Liverpool won it last year, absolutely celebrating. United won it this year, they celebrated. It's a legit trophy. It's like it's not Premier League,
or Champions League.
it's not Champions League, it's not even Europa League maybe, right? But it's still a trophy, and it's still something you are able to win.
Yeah.
It still shows something that like you were able to do something that season, and Man United did something. The thing with Arsenal is, I don't know, it's hard. I value league, right? Like I'm pretty sure you value the league as well.
Yeah.
Yes, it's Man United's first proper rebuild year, and then Arsenal's been at it for like a couple of years now with Arteta. But it's clear that Arsenal have the better team. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
And then it's clear that at this moment, it's fair to say that Arsenal will be contending for the Premier League next year. You can't really say that about Man United too much this year. Like at this moment, current moment. Like obviously, if you add like Kane and like whatever targets you have, then different story. But at the end of the season, you could like Arsenal will compete next year. Man United will be there, but this is a question mark. Arsenal for me is a guarantee that they will.
Yeah. Here's the thing, right? You're saying it for a team like who had the better roster essentially, who performed in the
who
league.
performed better, yeah. Who performed better.
Yeah, I mean, I get your point, and I agree with it 100%. It's just tough because, like, at the end of the day, no one cares about second or third,
It's the same thing.
right? Yes, obviously we're talking about it because we watch the league, but then, like, let's just say 5 years down the line, +1 on the trophy list, nothing on the trophy list as well.
That's big.
That's the part that makes it tough. Is like you're not wrong, but at the same time, it's like, okay, I get it.
At the same time, I'm not right.
Yeah, it's like. And same with me, like I definitely for sure I'd rather win the league than care about cup because obviously you don't want to hear the stupid stuff about this, right? But Arsenal did choke the thing late because they were 8 points clear at one point, I believe. And
I mean, they were 93% at the top.
yeah,
Right?
but
To say that it's not disappointing, it's disappointing. There's no other word to describe it. It's disappointing. Yes, you're a young team. Yes, you don't have the experience at being at the top. But if you're on the top for that long with that many point lead, you can't blow it.
yeah,
You cannot
debate.
blow it.
I mean, Arsenal fans, United fans, go into comment below. I know we'll be talking to our cousin about this too. What do you guys think? Who had the better year? This is good debate both ways for sure. But wait, so what? Okay, so the Community Shield. I just thought of this right now. City won the league and the FA Cup. That's usually the Community Shield.
They play Arsenal, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, so they value them as the FA Cup and not the finalist?
I think it's a second place.
Okay, so it's not like the FA Cup finalist.
I'm not sure though, 100%.
Okay.
But yeah, maybe. Unless,
Okay. We'll look at it when time comes closer. But yeah, I guess let's move on to the NHL. Obviously, it was a big series there going on. Stanley Cup Finals officially started on Saturday.
Florida's like finally get to get in the ice, but didn't really end well for them.
Yeah, so it was the opposite of the Denver situation. The rest helped Denver, not really with Florida. Essentially, 5-2 loss.
5-2 loss.
Got away from the third.
Yeah, 2-2 in the first two periods. Close game for sure.
Yeah.
Until the moments in the third period, but first thing, Bobrovsky. What would you say about his game?
I mean, he left 4 goals, but I don't blame him.
I don't blame him at all. Like, man, first save of the game was a breakaway. He made a few 2-on-1 denials. He made that little stack patty butterfly motion. I don't know what it's called, but like absolute like amazing save. And then right after that, made a 2-on-1 save. And then right after, in the same play, Kachuk gave it away to Stone, which was a great interception by Stone, but Kachuk shouldn't be giving it away in your own end. And Stone scored the 4th goal. Goals he allowed were like screens, right? He couldn't really see the puck too much. So there's nothing that went like through him. Like they were still in the like corners of the net, the sides of the net. But he made absolute big saves. Like this game could have been even worse if he didn't make those saves.
For me, it was Florida has to play a perfect game. Now, obviously, I'm not saying Bobrovsky has to play a perfect game. The thing is that none of their stars showed up, right? Kachuk gave that brutal giveaway to make it 4-2 when they had a probably opportunity to even tie it up late. You don't hear the name Carter Verhaeghe, who I love, one of the names I love in hockey.
This is one of the names you heard a lot in the
The
playoffs as well.
Sams, right? Obviously, Anthony Duclair scored, and then the
Barkov.
goal that Barkov. The goal that did score was also shorthanded, the first one, so like you can't really say Eric Stahl that much in the 5-on-5 side of things. And yeah,
Well,
so
Vegas are a really good 5-on-5 team. That's the thing.
yeah, but Vegas also has a tendency of giving the puck away, which they didn't this game as much. But if that happens, you need to pounce on it. Like Florida started out hot, right? Like they started out hot. They were pressing. The shots early were like 8-1, 9-1. Obviously, Vegas evened it out. The rest of the way it was like even throughout there. But you could see that Vegas had more of the puck possession in a way, until late when like Florida had to get the goals.
I said the same thing with the Denver, right? And I'm gonna say the same thing with Vegas. If we see this Vegas for the rest of the series, I don't see them not. I don't see them losing. I don't see the Florida Panthers winning, right? But another thing, how do you say Vegas without saying Adin Hill?
That save was unbelievable.
That was an
Early
unbelievable
second.
save in the early second. That stick save. Similar to what Braden Holtby did
Yeah.
to them in game 2
Yeah.
of
The finals in
Vegas's first year.
2018. Yeah.
Nah, bro, like Adin Hill, I don't know what the hell he's been on. He's like Vegas's like 54th goalie of the year or something. Like
Fifth, but okay.
I just don't understand how like that backup to the backup, fifth string goalie comes in and is playing like say someone just starts watching Vegas right now, right? Watching hockey for the first time. They're like, yo, Adin Hill's the number one goalie in the league.
I mean, probably. I mean, him or
Right?
Bobrovsky, one of the two.
Right? Or he's like, okay, it's clear cut that Vegas has a starter for the next like
Yeah.
3 or 4 years. Like they have a franchise goalie.
Yeah.
That's what he's playing like right now. And nobody expected that. Everyone expected him to just come in, don't let any like shitty go through, and then just try to keep your positioning, and then the team in front of you will help you out.
So,
There were times where he's the reason why they're winning games.
I have a question for you. We'll tie back the NBA team here because there's both Florida teams, 8 seeds. Before the series, who did you think had a better chance of winning, the Heat or the Panthers? And now watching Game 1 of the NHL and now the first 2 games of the NBA, does that mind switch?
For me, it was Heat from the beginning, and it's still Heat. For me, because Heat was a fraudulent 8 seed.
Clearly,
Right?
because they were the
Yeah.
7 seed.
But if we see this Heat team, right, like from the regular season, they were like a 5th seed for me, right? So they barely made it in. For me, like Florida, like it's more surprising for me that Florida made the final than Heat making the final. So that's
Yeah.
why I consider it Heat.
For me, okay, well, here's the thing. Yeah, if you're talking to me from the beginning of the playoffs, I agree with that 100%. But as the playoffs went on, obviously you came back 3-1, first of all, to the best team in regular season history. Then you gentlemen swept the Maple Leafs. And then you swept the Carolina Hurricanes, right? For me, it was like the reason why I'm saying this. You could argue that Florida has the 2 best players in the playoffs, in Kachuk and Bobrovsky. Argue, right? Because obviously
Yeah,
Eichel has a case.
Eichel has a case.
Aiden
for sure.
Hill has a case, and you could argue that. But that's why the reason why I had Vegas in 7 was because of that reason. Whereas I still had
Yeah.
Nuggets in 6.
I had
'Cause
Vegas in 6.
But for me, that's why I think, yeah, I had Florida for sure winning it. Has my mind fully changed yet? No, because there's only one game, and we'll see what
Yeah, there's no need for
Kachuk and them do.
Panthers.
After.
Don't need to panic. Paul Maurice said it.
Yeah,
Everyone just breathe. But the thing is this: the Vegas showed why they were the best team in the playoffs.
yeah, because clearly
game 1.
what Vegas did this series or this game was what Carolina lacked. Is because they didn't Bobrovsky was the reason why Carolina lost, but they also didn't have that true finisher, whereas Vegas has maybe not like a true finisher, but they have the capabilities
Yeah.
of finishing.
One goal was Shea Theodore's the second goal for Vegas.
Yeah.
Made an incredible move on the line, and then
Aldergrove zone,
then took a couple skates in and absolutely
bubble-esque.
yeah, no, it was
The
just
only guys to be Demko.
an absolute wrister that beat Bobrovsky. So his first goal of the playoffs, which was surprising to
Yeah.
me. But I don't know. Vegas has like what their leading goal scorers in like double digits, I believe, in William Karlsson. I think he's like a 10 or
Marchessault as well.
Marchessault's been
Good.
scoring goals. Mark Stone got his goal. Zach Whitecloud. So they got like 2 defenseman goals. White Cloud was the game winner, and then Mark Stone added the fourth. The thing is this: you can't allow 4 goals, right? And it's not on Bobrovsky. We already said this,
Yeah.
but like your team defense, the turnovers, they gotta be better for sure. The thing is this: that your best players got to be on a score sheet for you guys to beat them. Like the reason why, obviously, Bobrovsky was low. The reason why Boston, they beat Boston, but another reason that Kachuk got on the score sheet, right? One of the reason, obviously, Bobrovsky would be a major reason they swept the Hurricanes. Barkov got some goals. Kachuk got some goals,
Yeah.
right? So they're gonna need that for
Those guys
them.
have to step up, otherwise they lose. Essentially.
Yeah, like so okay. If you're looking at like pure performance, right? They could have played well, right? But you need those players on the score sheet.
Yeah.
Like them playing well or like other situations, it's not gonna be enough to beat this Vegas team. Uh, Here's my question for you: if Vegas won the Stanley Cup, is Adin Hill the Conn Smythe winner?
It's a tough one. Because it's not clear cut for me. Because obviously there's a debate that Borowski still wins it even if they lose. But I'm not going to put that a factor into it right now. Um, Eichel for me still. I had Eichel. I mean, he's been underrated. No one has talked about him as a lot. Right? Obviously, Mark Stone, I think, has a chance. But not as much as Eichel, in my opinion. Um, don't get me wrong. Adin Hill has been killing it. I'm not saying that he doesn't deserve it. Like, there's no debate. Like, if you were to argue Adin Hill, I can't sit here and say you're wrong. Like, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
I
So
can't say that.
the thing is
And I'm
this.
pretty sure you can't say the same with
Yeah, you
Jack
can't see
Eichel.
that. Yeah, I can't. But the thing is this. I just want something different. I want a little bit like. I want something different, like a fifth stringer coming in mid playoffs, helps them win against Edmonton. One of the big reasons they beat Dallas. Probably the biggest reason they won game one. I know it's just like that save itself.
So it's more
That
preference for
save
you too
it's
as well.
that's yeah, it's preference for me. But like that save itself is like a consummate save.
Yeah, like again, if he gets it, I'm not, if they end up winning it and he gets it, I
It'll
won't be
be it'll be.
surprised.
I'll love
But
to
for me,
see it.
Jack Eichel, like he might not be on the physical scoring, like goals,
Jack Eichel's been everywhere.
but he's been like playmaking a lot. He showed
He's got
why.
points. He's
He
won
showed
points.
why he was second to McDavid and probably should have been one in other
Draft classes.
draft classes, and why Vegas went out and got him, even though he struggled a bit last year, but it was also coming off an injury.
But at what point like we put in this narrative? Like I know people probably will say it's stupid, but you expect this from Jack Eichel, right? There's a reason why you
In a
went out.
way,
Yeah,
yeah,
you expect it. There's no in a way you expect it,
yeah, yeah.
right? He's the best player on the team. You went out, made that big trade for him. You do not. Adin Hill doesn't come close to what you're expecting.
I get
What
that.
he's doing right
Yeah,
now.
for sure, for sure. But again, like we said, we can't debate. We
It's
could
tough.
debate, but we
Yeah.
can't come up with a conclusive answer. We have to see more games,
Like it
obviously.
obviously had to see more games, but the thing is, at this rate, it just becomes like not a logical pick, but a preference pick.
Yeah,
Like obviously, people want to see like Jack Eichel win it because like he had he had good years in
give
Buffalo,
it a
but
FU in Buffalo too.
and then and then obviously got traded, had his surgery, finally clawed his way back, and now he's playing the best hockey of
Yeah,
his
so
life.
that's another reason. But yeah, no, we'll see more. I don't know if it's. I think it's a little bit
It's like
effective in the playoffs as well, not just the
yeah.
finals.
So
But
like, thing is that Adin Hill also came in like halfway through,
yeah,
so maybe that could be effect. But another thing is like, what if people just start voting on based on the narrative, the storyline?
yeah. That like I hate narrative voting, but it is a thing.
Yeah,
But we'll see how it goes, I guess.
I mean they both
But,
have a good storyline.
so your prediction, game 2.
I think Florida gets it.
Same. I think Florida will edge this one out. I don't see Kachuk being this bad. So we'll see what happens. I don't see Barkov being like this either, and he's a good defensive forward. He's second to probably Bergeron in the league, arguably. So yeah, I think Florida edges out game 2 and then goes back on the split, and then we'll talk about that one
Yeah,
later.
we'll see what happens.
Okay, let's move on to some on off ice stuff before we close out the podcast. Um, we'll go with the coaching hire or potential coaching hire that looks likely to happen, which is Columbus Blue Jackets have made a probable decision that they will be going for Mike Babcock, former Detroit, former Toronto coach, last seen with the University of Saskatchewan. His deal ends with Toronto at the end of this month. and he's open. He's a free agent, and Columbus would like to bring him in.
I mean, as a hockey coach, obviously great hire. As little personal, there's been personal issues, obviously. So Columbus is a young team, so I don't know how he's gonna really get the locker room. But
They have the
otherwise,
third.
hockey
See,
wise,
that's where it's tough because like he would be a coach like New York to bring in, like the
yeah,
Rangers.
right. Like who's like a little bit ready.
Yeah, because like you have Kent Johnson there. Yes, you have Johnny Gaudreau. I get that. You have the third pick, and it's probably Leo Carlsson, the Swedish center, who's supposed to be pretty good. So I don't know if you want him to be the guy bringing in like a young guy that's been like it's not a Greg Popovich situation where he's been there, stayed there for that whole time. So yeah, I mean we'll see how it works out. We'll see if it's official in the first place because there were obviously other names that were linked there. But let's move on to the new president of hockey hire. Last time we talked about Brad Treliving being hired as the GM. Well, former GM Kyle Dubas has officially announced, or well, has officially been hired by the Pittsburgh Penguins. Literally the day after we did the podcast
Yeah,
release, over the day we released it, that's the day it came out. Um, 37. So I thought he was in
he's
his
young.
40s.
He's young. He's
Yeah,
very
I thought he
young.
was in his 40s. But here's the funny part about this. Obviously, he's the president of hockey operations. They need to find a GM. They need to fix their cap situation if they want to win with Sid, Malkin, and Letang with Mike Sullivan coaching. But here, I'm going to bring up the petty stuff of this. It's so hilarious, guys. You saw the shots they threw back and forth.
Yeah, Shanahan.
Yeah. So Brad Treliving's press conference was going that day when he got hired. It was
Yeah.
a hire. It was announced during the press conference, and they quickly did his press conference afterwards. So Toronto media can't really jump ship over, but that's hilarious to me. Like the pettiness going with the Shanahan shots that he isn't the right guy. But yeah,
Like so you could tell they ended on bad terms for sure. Uh,
but
it's weird. It's weird. It's just
yeah,
weird.
we'll see what happens. I guess with the cap situation.
What if we just go next Penguins Leafs game, full on line brawl?
I don't think I'll go that extreme. But speaking of Brad Treliving, so he was obviously the former Calgary GM,
Yeah,
and when he worked out his deal with, because technically Calgary has his rights, in a way that when he worked out his deal with Toronto, one of the restrictions is Treliving cannot sit at the draft table for Toronto, which is weird. I heard I was listening on Halford and
what is
Brough.
this bullshit, man?
Yeah, I was listening to Halford and Brough, and one of the things was, yeah, that's what they said. I don't know how true it is. I don't know who they had on as a guest at that point.
Yeah.
And yeah, one of the deals that Calgary said was like, if you
So
guys want him, you can't put him on the desk.
So basically, like, oh yeah, no, if you want him as a GM, yeah, you could take him, but like, he's not allowed to do a GM job.
Yeah, I don't even know.
How does that make any sense?
I don't know if he's allowed to sit. I don't know. He's technically doing it behind the scenes, but we'll probably see him in a mask there or something. Who knows?
Just,
But
like one janitor just cleaning up.
yeah, it's
have
weird.
a-
It was like a weird situation, but
Just has a headset.
we'll
in.
see if it's true during
It's like, yeah, we're drafting
when the
this
draft
dude.
comes in 2 weeks.
We're drafting this dude.
Yeah. All right. Final thing, like we mentioned before, Adam Silver did his pre-finals press conference. Gary Bettman did his, and the two big things that came out that we saw were, well, the first one is the cap ain't going up. You know, Canucks fans that are looking up there. Oh, the cap will go up. 1 mil, not much.
That's not much. I mean,
The year
doesn't
after,
really affect the Canucks.
the year after is supposed to be a lot more, so we'll see. But yeah, so those teams, especially at the Canucks, who are already over the cap, are looking forward to the cap to go up to make some adjustments. Good luck with making moves. Obviously, we'll talk about the Canucks more in the offseason once the playoffs finals have officially concluded. And the other thing was the Arizona situation. We already know what his thoughts are on the Arizona situation. We already
Like
shared our shots.
He's trying his
But
best to keep.
shout
him
out to
there.
our relative who put it in the family group chat, so we don't have to search for it.
But yeah, Utah.
So, Pierre LeBrun, he is from the Athletic and TSN, has said Bill Daly, who's one of the guys, I forgot his exact role in the commissioner thing, confirms that NHL has heard directly from Salt Lake City, to be exact, Utah Jazz owner Ryan Smythe, about their interest in having an NHL team. Obviously, they're not looking for an expansion, so it makes sense this was a potential relocation spot. And although Bettman did double down on saying he hopes to find a solution in Arizona, so obviously Bettman is still looking into that solution.
Yeah, and
'Cause-
Utah was one of the top 3 or favorites, to get a hockey team. Or
yes.
Arizona relocate.
But yeah, so obviously that's what I think. We concluded that that's the best spot we think it is outside of Quebec City, obviously.
Yeah.
But that's just more biased. Because like they only have Salt Lake City FC and they have Real Salt Lake, sorry, and the Utah Jazz, right? So they'll have another team there they could potentially root for, but it could be a tough situation, new team coming in, not like Vegas, for example. But yeah,
Before we end, should we tell them how we were complete dumbasses today?
yeah. Okay. Well, we waited this long. Obviously, at the time of recording, we're at 1:30 or 1:20 a.m.
So what was it? We started recording at
We
10,
started the
right?
10.
Started
Finished
pretty good.
recording. We had probably did our best podcast. You could tell our energy was a little low for this one.
Like I'm like half asleep right now. Not
Yeah.
gonna lie. Yeah. So our dumbasses didn't put it on video mode and put it on S&Q, which is a time lapse. So we took the SD card out, put it in my laptop, and we're like, why the hell are we slow motion and why the hell is like 3 hours long?
Yeah. Well.
And then we're like, oh my god, we brutally messed up.
This was attempt 2 learning process for us, but
just as simple as this is we're idiots.
All right, yeah, just make sure we don't do this next time. But
yeah, just double check and stuff. But hopefully the energy was the same, and hopefully you guys didn't see no difference. But just gotta come clean,
Yeah, you guys will never know what type of banter we had earlier. We tried our best to recreate it, but we missed some stuff for sure. But it is what it is. Hopefully, we continue to entertain you guys in the next one better. But
that's pretty much it. We're stupid, but just one like equals one increase in one IQ for us.
Yeah. Like, comment, and
subscribe.
Comment what you guys thought, your disagreements, your thoughts about how stupid we were, and whatever you think was gonna happen in the playoffs. Shout out again, Planet Press, for the poster. Check out their link in the description, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.
Peace.